Closing is the counterpart of the opening. Super simple and very similar. I would say it's probably 1 to 5 minutes in length. So after you've brought people out of Shavasana, when Shavasana is done, if you've done my classes, you'll probably know I always say, begin by deepening your breath, invite some gentle movement into your body, wiggle fingers and toes, maybe turn your head side to side, reach your arms overhead, take a big stretch as if you were just waking up in the morning, and then you can roll over onto one side, cradling your head into your arm. Can you tell I've done this a lot before? It's like a script that I have. Push your hands into the floor and come all the way up to seated. Close your eyes and settle into a neutral seated position. Get comfortable and relax, right? So now we're moving towards the closing. The closing is that part after Shavasana where we're all sitting together as a group, and this is your final opportunity to drive the theme home, to kind of wrap a bow around the class where you can tie everything together. This is a time for introspection and connection, and you want to really focus on the feeling. So get people to really reflect on how they feel now as opposed to when they first stepped onto their mat. Physically, what has changed, what has shifted, what feels different, and then also mentally, emotionally, perhaps even spiritually. So really getting them to weave in when they think about the theme, when they think about the poses that they did, when they reflect back on the experience of this practice, what is present within them right now. If at the beginning of class you had asked them to set an intention for the practice, always remember to bring them back to that intention, right? Ask them to reflect back on the intention. Did they honor it? How did that intention feel and land in their bodies? Perhaps something I often like to do, especially with my morning yoga classes, I use the closing to get people to set an intention for their day. So rather than having an intention for the yoga class itself, we have an intention for what we're going to do with ourselves once we step off of our mat and get into the real world. So that can be really nice as well. The closing is nice and simple. It's your opportunity to really thank your students, to really, show gratitude and to invite them to be grateful to themselves as well. Even if a class was really hard and a student struggled throughout for whatever reason, physically, mentally, emotionally, it was a challenging time and a challenging practice. Can you create a space where you invite your students to focus on one thing that they're proud of, one thing that they're grateful for? Closing is also usually where we will finish by chanting Om together one time. In my class, that's always what we do. We finish by joining our hands together at the heart, Anjali Mudra, and together we inhale to chant Om. For some people, they'll add other mantras. Maybe they'll chant Om multiple times. It's not necessary to chant Om. Many people don't. Sometimes they'll do it at the beginning of class. I'm not saying any way is right or wrong. I'm just sharing the way that I like to teach. I like to do Om at the end of class. It's a really nice way to kind of solidify the container and to really wrap the group up together. It's like one big hug. You really get to feel the community. You really get to honor the practice that you've done together. And I feel this even when I teach online, even though I don't see you guys, I don't see the students, when I chant Om, I really do kind of feel that energy of everyone else who's chanting Om with me somewhere out in the world through time and space. It's really crazy. It's really fun, but I swear I do feel it, and that really is the intention behind this chant. It's a way to anchor ourselves in together, to honor our bodies, to honor the work that we've done, and to kind of close the page on the class. Your closing might also include a bit of a body scan. So when you bring them back to a comfortable seated position, you might take them through from head all the way down fingers and toes, getting them to notice each part of their bodies, what feels different, what has shifted. This is a good also opportunity to do a bit of grounding or centering work. So maybe doing some breathing exercises that help them ground roots into the earth or grow up a little taller. Just anything that brings them back to themselves and brings them back into that space of connection. And then you finish with your closing words where you thank everyone, make eye contact if you can, if you're teaching in person, like really bow to the students, to the people in front of you. Try to establish that connection with them. Even though I primarily teach online, like I do try to bow, it's to the camera, but it's like, it's to you guys, like I'm really picturing the people who are doing my class, and I'm really trying to make it feel like, to make my gratitude flow, through the lens and through the camera. It's important. It matters. You do want to try to form that little personal connection because you have no idea how the class may have affected the student in your class. For some, maybe not much happened and, it was just a good class and they're going to go on with their day and they're not really going to think much about it. But I can think of a few classes I've attended that were truly life-changing, like a few classes where the teacher has no idea of the impact and the shift that they have had on my life through the way, like maybe it was just something they said in a yoga class that really struck a chord with me, or maybe it was the actual sequence themselves taught me so much about my body and it helped, gave me a huge insight as to why I have pain in a certain area of my body. Like regardless of what it was, I've had those moments before where I'm like, wow, I will never be the same again. Like this was a truly powerful experience, a truly powerful class. And I want to have that connection with the teacher, like it's important as the teacher to really honor the fact that students took time out of their day to be with you, maybe they paid money to attend. This was a big deal. And maybe it impacted them in a big way. So we want to be willing to kind of make that personal connection, to share our gratitude and to really show up with an open heart and to hold space for whatever experience happened within the class. So closing, very simple. Again, just 1 to 5 minutes, show your gratitude, get them back into their body, maybe chant Om a few times, get them to focus back on the intention and send them off with some kind words and try to really make that connection with the students that spent their time with you. So that's it for closing. I hope this helps. And that's it for the Vinyasa class structure. So now you hopefully have a better idea of what I'm thinking about when I'm designing a class. So the different aspects that I have to plan. And now we can really get into the next module, which is all about actually like planning, theming, cueing, building up your sequence and how you actually teach it. But now at least you have the building blocks that I like to use when I'm, creating a Vinyasa yoga class. So hopefully this has been helpful and now we can go on to the next module.